Welcome back to the second hour of today's Butler on Business. And joining us now is David Morgan of the Morgan Report. David, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing quite well.
Well, we were at new all-time highs on the S&P and the Dow again this morning, and it looks like silver and gold are under pressure somewhat, although not very much. What are your thoughts based on what we're seeing trade today?
Well, today and what's been happening the last several weeks, really, I was looking out a few months ago. I thought that we built a pretty good base and we're coming up, and we actually saw silver rally. In fact, I put a trade on from about the 2050 level, 22 officially, and we got up to about 25, and I urged people that, that might be all we're going to see in the market, take profits around that level. And what's happened since then was we've fallen back, we're consolidating at a low level, we keep going lower. So, number one, 2050 is a critical area, the next critical area for silver to hold, and we'll see if it does. I do think we're going to see a weakening of the metals prices probably until the end of the year. This is very similar to what happened the last 2 years in the metals. And I think there's a lot of good, psychological work going on out there in mainstream financial markets. I mean, you can't, regardless of how the Dow got to this level, it's there. So nothing really takes the market higher than a lot of commentary and a new high. Get a lot of people excited near the top. A lot of people do the wrong thing and buy high. Although the internals of the stock market are really horrible. I mean, the insiders are out of it, which is typical. It's called distribution. This is where the insiders get out, and they keep pumping the news, if you will, and how great it is, and this can only go higher and on and on. And this is, of course, allows them to distribute their holdings and sell them to other people at a high level. So I think that's really what's taking place in the stock market. Not to say it's ready to crash tomorrow, but I do think that internally, what you look at as far as the divergence between what's really going on in the equity market and what the numbers are, there's a dissonance. They're not compatible. So coming back to the metals, I think we're at the end of the consolidation within the next couple of months. I think 2014 will be a better year, but better doesn't mean great. And I think it's going to take time. And I'm looking, of course, for the key levels I keep talking about, and that's $26 in silver and $15.50 in gold. Once we're able to break up through those levels and maintain them, then this washout that we had several months ago from those levels down have been taken out. We're able to build a really solid base, and we'll be able to come up higher. I've already been asked, and this is, kind of a fool's errand because, no one knows all the time what the market will do. But technical work does help, and also the fundamentals. Fundamentally, the shift in gold keeps going from west to east. There's no doubt that the Chinese, the Russians, Hong Kong, all throughout basically India, there's an insatiable appetite for physical gold and silver, and particularly gold. And this is not going away. In fact, it could accelerate. Not to say that there haven't been a month or two that have been off here recently. So that's the main bottom line. We're going to see a couple more months of pain, then we think we'll work our way out of it.
One interesting thing, I've talked to a couple of people that have traveled overseas lately, and they're all coming back telling me the foreigners don't want the dollar. They just kind of know we either want this currency or that currency. Usually they want their own home country's currency. In the case of the EU, they want the euro. But even in a place, a staunchly, historically a pro-American, pro-dollar state like Israel, the Israelis don't want the dollar.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is the writing on the wall. I mean, anyone that's got eyes to see can see clearly what's taking place. And it's the death spiral of the dollar, and it's something that people don't, I'm speaking for others, some get it, some don't. Generally speaking, a lot of people have the misconception that a dollar collapse is something that happens instantaneously overnight, and that can happen. But generally what happens is a backing away. It's exactly what you described, Alan. You have the Russians basically outlaw using dollars. So more and more people distance themselves from the dollar. It gets to the final end where there's no one that's really willing to buy U.S. debt outside the Federal Reserve itself. And right now that's about a 70-80% level. And so the dollar becomes like an internal currency, believe it or not, and that certainly isn't going to happen again in the next couple of months, but that's the trend, and the trend is continuing and it's getting stronger. So the strong trend is out of dollars and into other currencies. That, in my view, is obviously taking place, but that's only a matter of time before other currencies are probably reneged upon as well. In other words, there's really two thoughts on this. One is that there's a debt liquidating depression, and basically what you have is some currency or currencies come and they are the only place to be. Cash is king. And the other theory is what history's taught us, and that is that no paper currencies ever survived, and gold becomes the ultimate money. Everything else is a currency. And that's the way to bet, because that's what history has shown over and over again. So certainly there could be a time when a certain currency or currencies might look much better than the dollar. I won't dispute that. But over the longer run, I think we're going to be surprised to see that regardless of how it plays out, that gold and silver will eventually, in real terms, in value purchases, and what they will actually obtain for you, will go into levels that will please most people, and in some cases probably exceedingly so.
I remember during the 98 and 99 stock market bubble, specifically the NASDAQ bubble, gold was extremely weak. It was trading down around $320. If I'm not mistaken, I think I even bought a tube at around $285, $290, plus the commission on top of that. And then we were off to the races once the equity bubble popped. And I have quite a few friends who are financial planners, stock traders, and, they're always equities. Never really fixated on gold. And, of course, the financial networks never talk about the precious metals unless they're going down. Why do you think, as an industry, Wall Street just basically ignores gold and silver, or are constantly talking it down?
Well, I think it's the paradigm. I think you have the paper money paradigm, you have the system, you have the establishment, you have basically a whole mindset that everything is okay. The powers that be know what they're doing. I'm just some worker bee out here in the mainland, and all I need to do is follow, their advice, pick the right stock, get the right financial planner, invest for the long term. Stocks can, over the long term, do better than anything, and on and on. And gold is the most contra asset to stocks. And gold is only valuable because the people at large or at small believe it is. In other words, gold has proven itself by experience. We know from history that this is an asset that is coveted by people generally, and governments especially. And you don't have to go back very far to realize that truth. I mean, if you go back before August 15, 1971, the Bretton Woods Agreement, prior to that, and prior to the closing of the gold window, all international trade was settled in gold. Why? Because it's obvious. People say these terms and don't understand them, but it's the gold standard. The gold standard, there's nothing better than the gold standard. We use it in advertising all the time. It's the gold standard. Well, that's the reason. Gold cannot be brought to the surface without labor. That's what gives it value, and also the belief. It's true wealth. So that is contrary to the whole system that's set up on this creating something for nothing out of the Federal Reserve System in this country, and basically all their nations follow something similar. So we're in a paradigm shift that the paper money paradigm has hypnotized the masses, yet there's this 1% of us or so that understand real inflation, what really happens in monetary systems, what history has taught us, and we're willing to make that change. And this means that you're admitting that something's wrong with the establishment view. And most people won't do that. They have normalcy bias. They think that, things are getting bad. They're not quite right. But I'm sure that if things will work themselves out. Hey, I just heard on CNBC that, economy's recovering. And some of the place to be is in these, third world nation funds or, whatever the latest crazed mutual fund is. So it's tough, because people don't want to admit to themselves that something's wrong. Because they do, and they buy gold, they've actually taken action that says, hey, you know what, I do think something could go wrong. Doesn't necessarily mean it will. I believe it will, but that's me. You don't have to. What you can do is buy gold, but it does make you admit that something could go wrong. And certainly history, again, dictates that not only could it is. Look at what's happening to the dollar, as you just mentioned, Alan. What's happening is people are getting away from it very quickly.
We're speaking with David Morgan of the Morgan Report. David, we got less than a minute. Would this be a good time for those who do not currently own the metals to start accumulating at least a small position?
Very much. I've been interviewed by Greg Hunter, and I think he says something kind of interesting. He basically says either you have it or you don't. He says, I don't worry about the price, because at the end of the day, what's going to come down to is either you have precious metals or you don't have precious metals. I think there's merit in what he's saying. I mean, no one knows the exact future, but it could get in a situation where if the dollar starts to collapse quickly, or there's a bank run or a closure or a bail-in or any of these things that are distinct possibilities, that some of the dealers might decide, you know what, we've got this much in the warehouse, we don't really want to sell it. So all of a sudden sales stop. Now, again, that's rather extreme, but I think at the edge. You have to think outside the box. That's one scenario. The other one is that there's the inability to get it. I mean, if there's problems with the transportation system or electronic transfer system or the banking system, or there's a holiday, I mean, what's going to happen if you've saved up your money waiting for the exact right price and you know it's going to come lower because David Morgan just told you it's probably going to hit, somewhere in a new low, not necessarily under 1817 on silver, but somewhere lower than in the 2050 if it breaks that level. So I'm going to wait. But by waiting, you're unable to obtain it, So basically, I think the smartest thing to do, if you really know that there could be disruptions throughout the system in the not-too-distant future, is to just buy it now. And don't leverage, don't get fancy, don't worry about the mining shares. Just buy physical, bought and paid for, put it in a safe place, and relax.
David, appreciate your time, buddy.
My pleasure.
Silver123.net is a silver saver program designed to be as simple as possible. For as little as $50 per month, you can set up and create an automatic cost average buying program that will get silver or gold sent to your door on a monthly basis. The first step to creating an account is easy. You will supply some basic information. Next, you will add a bank account from which you will schedule your purchases. Scheduling purchases makes saving easy. Silver Saver is customizable and allows you to control the amount and the date of purchase. Once you are signed up, you are then given your affiliate code. Now you can save in precious metals and also market this program. You can use email, web pages, and multiple forms of social media to share the Silver Saver program. Silver Saver will reward you generously with physical silver or gold whenever someone you refer becomes a saver. Silver Saver not only provides you with a share code, but also allows you to place your own banner ad on a website of your own. Silver Saver is one of the best ways to start saving and accumulating gold or silver, especially at these levels. Visit silver123.net and start saving today.